Well, my friends, you can't be here with us for Memorial Day farm party this year, but I want to welcome you to the garden just the same. It's a little wild this year because we haven't had as much time to work on it, but it's still beautiful. Roses are blooming and the sage is in bloom on the walkway coming into the house, and the tractor's going behind me because Teresa's mowing just like she does every year. I just pruned out this beautiful pink dogwood. It had a lot of suckers growing in it that have been kind of deferred for a couple of years. So I got that cleaned up, and in here is blooming one of my favorite roses. Come in here. This is the Peace Rose, and she's growing in the shade. She's so pretty. And I got her opened up and pruned out some things so that maybe she'll have a little more air. And there's the bottom of the pink dogwood tree. It looks so much better now. You wouldn't believe I took this much out of it suckering. So, and then we've got, oh, you can see in the background there, the peonies are blooming. They're in the shade now. They get a lot of nice morning sun. And then over here, we've got the wild self-sown California poppies that are blooming down in the orchard. There's Teresa mowing. And these are our magnolias that have all bloomed out. Here we are back in the yard. Yep, we're working. That's what it would look like the day before Memorial Day. We'd all be going crazy. And you can see if you look up in the top, the compassion rose is blooming in the top of the crabapple like it does every year this time. It accidentally got planted in the shade underneath that crabapple, and it turned out to be a climber. So I just let it climb, and it blooms. Crabapple blooms first, and then that rose does. And here's the spirea under the crabapple tree is just starting to bloom. The bees are loving it. Here's a little bumblebee hard at work. Got a lot of great bumblebees. And some purple barberry and a variety of things. Our yellow golden delicious apple tree. Looks like it's going to be doing great this year. A little rock garden down here, coming close. I love these little sweeties blooming around the rocks, and then the daisies just kind of come up wherever they want to. Daniel broke our pretty turquoise bird bath this year. He's a home wrecker, but we love him. He jumped, Daniel Thunderpaws. He jumped his Thunderpaws right into the bird bath, and it fell over and broke. So we've got some penstemon blooming here. They get a lot of nice morning sun, which keeps them happy enough. They're the prettiest color. I just love them. And this poor rose gets the worst black spot, but it's really beautiful and it smells exquisite. So it's another one that turned out to be a climber that I wasn't expecting to be a climber, and it climbs up into the apple tree and blooms up there. And then we've got in here, we've got the Spanish lavender is in bloom. That's making all the bees and hummingbirds real happy. And then we've got here comes Noggin down the steps. We got Stanley and Noggin hanging out with Luke. Hi. Oh, and Porter. He thinks he should go in and eat some because he's not quite big enough. Hi guys. Hanging out on the shady porch. And here comes Daniel Thunderpaws. Hey Daniel. What are you doing? Hunting. That's why he wears the cat bib. He's a hunter, and oftentimes he's hunting birds, so he wears the bib, but he also, with the bib on, can catch little four-legged things, which we're all for that. I just planted this rusty old wheelbarrow with a hole in it, and threw some dirt in there and planted a wildflower bee and butterfly mix. So it's just starting to sprout, little babies. And then there's this rose here. This is Abram Darby. This is the one I've been cutting all spring. It started blooming real early, and it's a huge shrub, and it blooms really lavishly and generously, and it smells incredible. You stand downwind of this and you can just get the most perfect rose fragrance. So anybody's looking and has room, I recommend Abram Darby to everybody I know. So here we are in the rose garden. It's not really in bloom yet. That's got a little setback from the really rainy May. Everything took a while to open up, and the things that were budded out early tended to rot before they could open because we had 3 inches of rain in 2 weeks. But it's coming. There's things opening up. And there's this shrub I can't remember the name of that blooms this white blossom. Grows like crazy. We cut it almost to the ground and it just gets enormous. Bees love it, so we let it grow and then we hack it down. And over here, we've got our new doggy pool. The dogs are loving that. Next to the memorial garden, you can see Della's cherry tree that we planted when we christened the memorial garden is huge and strong and fantastic. So nice memory of Della. We've got all kinds of memory trees in here. Ginkgo tree on the back side for memory, and then we've got red roses for true love. There's the first one blooming in the garden, pretty little bud. This bush is so healthy, I can't believe it. It's just incredible. We actually remembered to fertilize the roses this year, so they're doing pretty good. Anyway, here we are looking back in the yard at my wheelbarrow full of work. And a little bench. And bird feeders. That's why the cats wear their bibs. It's because we also love the birds and they love their feeders. So anyway, just kind of walking back here through the rose garden. We'll stop and see, this is Katie's favorite rose and one of my favorites too. It's called Perfume Delight. Has this bright green foliage and these huge, not very many petaled, but incredibly fragrant roses. They're just amazing. Oh, a little butterfly just came down to say hello. That's cool. And then this little rose that's kind of bloomed out, my mom and I just spent like 3 days trying to remember the name of it. We've known it all our lives, and it's called Cecil Bruner. Has these tiny little pink, let me see if I can get the color right. There we go. These tiny little pink blossoms that she had, I think, in her bridal bouquet. It's one of her favorites. Anyway, there's that enormous bee happy shrub again. It has these really pretty blue berries on it when it's done. A little chickadee flitting around in it. And then here is Queen Elizabeth. She is, well, let's see. I can't reach the top of her, so I'm gonna guess those top blooms are probably over 7 feet tall. She's a rose that's older than I am. My parents moved Queen Elizabeth. I don't know if they moved her to Champlain, where I grew up, in 1964, but I believe they did. If not, it's at least as old as I am. They moved it from Champlain Drive to Charbonneau, and then they moved it, when they moved here from Charbonneau, we dug her up and moved her here. And so as far as I know, this rose is at least as old as I am and maybe older, which means she's close to 60 years old. Let's not talk about that. This lavender in here, I think, is one of the ones that just seeded itself. And then here, this purple rose is Paradise. A little rain damaged, but the prettiest colors. Just gorgeous. Here we are under the shade. The Japanese maple that grows at the head of the dry stream bed. And stairs up into the shady area under the oaks. Pretty excited about these boring looking plants. They're milkweed, a native plant that's really important to butterflies. And I got a couple, I don't know, 3 years ago on a remainder table that were nearly dead. And I planted them here, and this year they've spread really beautifully. So I hope they're happy and I hope they'll stay. The Persian Parotia tree, gorgeous in the fall. and then looking east out over the horse pasture and back into the rose garden. Queen Elizabeth towering over everybody. And there's the shade garden. I'm about to walk into the sun, so here's Stanley in his bird bib. Hey, Stanley. Yeah, good boy. And the flagstone path, this was a dream come true for me. I'd always wanted a wandering flagstone path, and got to put one in when we did this garden around the house. Very grateful to my uncle for making that possible. And another one of our lavish Japanese maple. This one is a coral bark maple, and it's gorgeous lime green. Can't really tell from this angle. And then in the winter time, the twigs are bright red. So it's just beautiful all year round. I love the light through Japanese maple leaves. All maple leaves, really. Big leaf maple, Japanese maple. So one of my favorite lights. Here comes Porter, our farm panther. Hi, Porter. He's a good boy. Yeah. Good boy. All right, well, looking back down our path, we've got the dry stream bed here. It's getting taken over by a beautiful rugosa rose that's growing down into the stream. Back on our path. I'm not going to be embarrassed by all the stuff that needs to happen still. I'm just going to walk around the garden and enjoy it. This is the year we have to replace our little bridge over the dry stream because it busted underneath that roofing paper. It's broken through. So it's lasted about 10 years at least though, so that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Just have to get a new one. And down into our shade, one of the last iris still blooming. We had a whole sea of them, and this one is the last one to open up. It's so pretty. Love iris. A little overgrown shrubs here. Hard to see too. We'll get into the shade. Maybe some more spirea blooming. Oh, and down here we have these little, they're ornamental strawberries, but they are tasty. They're just about the size and sweetness of wild strawberries. So, looking in at the dry stream bed there. Some of my friend Sherry's crocosmia that she gave us. And there's the cats coming down the walk with us. They like going for walks. Another one of our pretty Japanese maple with the light shining through it. That's outside of our kitchen breakfast window. I love this little garden because it's very green, and when we look through it we can see the bird feeders that are hanging on that arch in there. Can't hardly see them now because everything's so overgrown. Alright, well, we're just about all the way around the house now. Another Japanese maple. This one is red all year round and also has extraordinary light. I love the red leaves against the blue sky and those bright yellow green leaves back there. Very pretty. 9-bark there, I think, is or no, a viburnum, the white blossoms. That's a native viburnum, and there's a hydrangea here. We'll see what color she is. Sometimes purple, sometimes blue. And there we are at the end.